All right. Hello, everybody. We're here today. We're really excited to bring you Kansas's second district congressman, Jake LaTurner. He has been a policy champion for a long time throughout his career, and we're thrilled to have him represent Kansas in DC. He does a fantastic job bringing Kansas values and our principles to the forefront of protecting the American dream. And I'm also here with Josselin Castillo, who is a senior policy analyst in our government affairs team, federal GA in DC with Americans for Prosperity. And we're so excited to talk through some really important issues today, things that I think are on the forefront of everybody's mind. And so thank you both of you. Thank you to both of you for being here today, and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Congressman LaTurner, as you know, most Americans are extremely concerned with the state of the economy. That is, I think the number one concern when we talk to folks at the door and around Kansas. They're also concerned about what's going on the global stage. Can you give our viewers just an initial sense of what you and your colleagues are working on amidst some of these compelling and competing priorities in a relatively short time frame?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'm glad to be with you, Elizabeth, and have really enjoyed working with you over the years and with AFP. And I really want to thank AFP because they've changed the game. There's a couple of organizations like it, but AFP is the best in terms of bypassing all of the filters that we have and the biases that we have in the media and other places. You go directly to people. And so to be here and be able to talk with you is just really great. I'm glad to be here. The economy is in rough shape right now, and Kansans understand it. When we talk about inflation, we're looking at about almost 8% inflation. For the average American family, it's over $5,000 increase. This is a massive tax increase, and it's a tax increase on everyone. It hurts the middle and the lower class the very most. People understand, as I talk to them throughout the state, when they go fill up at the pump, they're paying a heck of a lot more. When they're going to the grocery store, they're paying a heck of a lot more. People are struggling. Our president often talks about people having a little breathing room. That's what it's about. Well, I agree with them. People need some breathing room. The trouble is that his policies and the policies of the Democrats on Capitol Hill have done nothing for the people across this country to get that breathing room that they need so desperately. The intentions of this administration and the Congress and their answer to inflation is to pump trillions more into the economy, when we know that has been a big factor in why we have the inflation to start with. So step number one for us has to be to stop digging the hole. We've got to stop spending money that we don't have. And do the very best we can to create efficiencies in the economy, open up new trade deals, and get ourselves back to a level playing field where we're not borrowing, but we're actually, paying down debt. I know it's a novel concept, but we've got to get our financial house in order in this country. And for me, I don't think we talk about it enough in this way, but it is absolutely a moral issue. My wife, Suzanne, and I have 4 young kids, and we feel duty bound to leave them a country in better shape than we found it. And we've got a lot of work to do to get to that place, but we've got to begin the work. We've got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I pass it on to Josselin, what you're saying rings so true. And it just makes me wonder, do you feel like Democrats really are understanding the gravity of inflation? And, you just talked about some of your biggest concerns and what we need to do to tackle that. But I just wonder if they understand.
It's, you've heard the saying, if you're a hammer, everything's a nail. That's kind of the case with the Democrats. Their answer to every problem is more government spending, more control. They most of them are sincere in the belief if you'll just give them enough of your money and enough of your power, they'll solve all your problems for you. And we know that it doesn't work that way. We are so blessed in this country to have founding fathers that understood, and we all should understand it better today, that our rights come from God and not from the government. We believe in federalism, And we think the federal government is too darn big, takes too much of our money and too much of our power. And so we've got to start unwinding this. And I'm optimistic. I think we can do it, but it's not for the faint of heart. We need big change, and we need people that are willing to take tough votes to actually get things done.
We need more people like you, Congressman.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I was visiting Overland Park, Kansas last month in Kansas City, and I will dare to say that you guys do have the best barbecue. And I know my friends in Texas will be very angry, but
where did you go?
Oh my gosh, Joe's.
Yeah, did you have the Z-Man?
Oklahoma Joe's KC. Sorry.
Yes,
Did you have the Z-Man sandwich?
Yes, actually I did.
Yeah, it's the best. And it's obviously better than Texas. It's not even a question, really.
Absolutely.
Best barbecue. Yeah.
And we were there talking to folks. We're watching the State of the Union that's since been followed by the rollout of the president's press release, which is a budget or his priorities. And I think the conversation around inflation and the cost of prices, not just at the pump, but in everyday life, we basically took a pay cut. And if you're a senior on fixed income, you're in a working class situation, this is actually pretty detrimental. Yet what we're seeing outlined in the president's budget seems pretty, the opposite of where we need to be. We're seeing energy dependency, higher taxes proposed. What should be concerning to folks and what is being debated? And I know that they're trying to revive the so-called reconciliation package, partisan package, to pass a lot of their climate priorities, which would dig us further into energy dependence hole. What should be concerning about some of the things that are being explored and debated this second session of Congress? And in your eyes, what would be the better alternative? What are better policies that are not being discussed and that Americans could actually benefit from?
That's an important question. The president needs to level with the American people, and they're not doing that right now. If you look at the budget proposal that they put out, and look at the assumptions in there, I think they have inflation at something like 2.5%. So the point being is that it's going to cost infinitely more than what they're saying it's going to cost. This is going to be trillions more dollars over the next decade that we're going to have to borrow. We cannot afford it. You mentioned energy independence, which is an incredibly important issue. What's been fascinating to me over the last little over a year now, since I've been in Congress, is no matter how unrelated a piece of legislation may be to energy, there is some piece of the Green New Deal in it. They are hell-bent on getting this passed. And if ever there was a time where we should see this with clear eyes, it's right now. I just got back from Poland and Moldova and Romania, seeing the crisis that's going on in Ukraine. And we see Putin's evil actions and the impact that that's having on the world. And it's come to front of mind for a lot of people that we are getting our energy, and we're dependent upon people around the world that are not good actors. And energy independence is absolutely a national security issue. And we're getting better all the time. If you look over the last decades, after the last 2 decades, the greatest reducer of CO2 emissions on planet Earth is the United States of America. We know how to do it. We know how to do it in a clean manner. We've had presidents since Richard Nixon talk about energy independence, and we finally were under the last administration, finally. And on day one of President Biden's administration, they re-implement restrictions on exploration. They are doing everything they can. Talk about heavy-handedness to control this sector of our economy and hamstring our ability to not just create wealth, to create jobs, and make sure that people are paying less at the pump and with their home heating bills, but again, in our national security interest. This is a critical issue, and the administration and the Democrats on Capitol Hill are missing it by miles.
I so agree. And, I think about how those types of costs, they impact everybody, but you think about low-income Americans and how disproportionately it's impacting them as well. And it's just, even here in Kansas, I think it's, I want to say it's 29% of Kansas income goes towards home energy bills already. I mean, for that to continue to go up as a percentage, I mean, we're looking at, the real threat of energy poverty in our state and our nation. Anyway.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's hurting people.
Well, and as we speak about costs, one of the things that has been top of mind in our conversations as well across the country, and the world that we've lived in the last 2 years with mandates shifting, and public health guidance shifting every week or every day sometimes. People are concerned about their ability to have control over their own healthcare and their costs. There are inflationary results that are taking place in the healthcare sphere as well. And as part of some of the proposals that we're seeing currently in Congress, kind of wrapped into this whole massive spending scheme, is the idea of increasing subsidies to insurance companies, capping drug prices, which really is price control, the types of policies that lead to shortages and innovative cures, and would also raise costs for drugs for most people that have a private insurance plan. So, a lot of folks are saying, well, we need to lower the cost of healthcare. And one answer is, let's continue to subsidize it regardless of how much it increases. But we here at Americans for Prosperity believe that the true answer doesn't lie in bureaucracy or big business, big insurance companies. It's in the individual, it's in the doctors, it's in the nurses, those folks that have really stepped up and met the moment during COVID, if ever there was a moment. And so the ability to have a patient-centered policy when it comes to healthcare that empowers the individual, that lowers costs, is so important. And we're so proud that you introduced the Health Savings Act. Would love for you to give us a sense of, what health savings accounts are. Currently, only 10% of Americans have access to these wonderful accounts. Tell us what they are and what your bill would do to really empower patients with financing their own healthcare.
You're absolutely right. This is a critical issue. Healthcare costs are on the rise, and people are incredibly concerned, rightly concerned about this issue. We introduced the Health Savings Act because, as you said, only 10% of Americans are able to access this. They're incredibly important. It allows the individual to save, and it allows them to make healthcare decisions that are right for them. And that's the key to all of this. Is individuals need to be able to make choices. And because they're going to do the right thing, they're going to make rational choices. What they don't have right now, first of all, 90% don't have access to health savings accounts, and we hope to be able to fix that problem. The other thing they don't have is transparency. They need to be able to know what things cost. They need to know what things cost. And what the Democrat solution is more government control. And what that's going to do, first of all, it's not going to work, but it's going to stifle innovation. We had a hearing in the Oversight Committee this week on Medicare for All, and they believe fundamentally that this government-run healthcare plan is going to save costs, is going to provide people with better access and better quality. And we know that's not true. If you look around the world, when you see leaders of country and wealthy people across the world, when they have to have something done, where do they come? They come right here. And it's because our quality is incredibly high. What we have to do is make sure everyone has access, and we're doing our part. We represent a very rural district, and we have to expand telehealth. I think that's one of the silver linings that happened during COVID. Is that we realized what we could do. We realized that we're capable of doing more than we knew before. And so it's important that we expand telehealth, which is going to lower costs, and talk about expanding access, right? This is a true story. As I mentioned, I was on a trip just recently, and I was driving in Moldova, and I met a doctor who was from New York City, who was over there volunteering with Doctors Without Borders. And he said that he sees patients via telehealth in Barton County, Kansas. Now, think about that. We have incredible ability now for people to get great access. So we need to do more with telehealth. We need to do more with health savings accounts. We need to do more with transparency. to allow people to make choices because they're going to make the right ones. And you're going to be able to see, if we can do this, you're going to be able to see the healthcare industry shift, and it's only going to get better if you're willing to trust people and allow them to make decisions. If you go down the Democrats' path, it looks pretty grim from my point of view.
You said that incredibly well, and it dovetails what you're doing on the federal level and what you're championing dovetails so well with even what we're working on the state level to do exactly what you're saying. Now, patient-centered care that increases access and lowers costs, helps with health innovation, and bring us into a system that really does provide health care for everyone, and not just saying, something we've said, an insurance card doesn't always equal care or doesn't equal care. And we need to think about that differently to make sure people are having access to care. And it's telehealth. You're absolutely right. That's a huge opportunity. Health savings accounts. I'll let Josselin come in with a little bit more, but just really grateful for your work on that.
Yeah.
Well, Senator Cornyn likes to say margaritas on the go and telehealth have been the few silver linings of this pandemic. And for folks that are watching, the flexibilities are temporary, only as so long as the public health emergency is continued. And I know we got a bit of an extension in a spending bill, but it's critical that we have champions like you advocating to make that permanent. The future of healthcare with the innovation that is taking place is actually quite bright. The cures that can come to market and the technology that is available. We saw what Operation Warp Speed was able to deliver in record times with vaccines. So I myself, I'm optimistic, but I think it's so important that folks understand what's at stake if some of these policies are implemented that would actually set us back. We don't want to model ourselves after countries that have less access to innovative treatments. America has the most oncology innovative drugs, and I think that we're on the verge of something great here. And so, in talking to folks, I was in Iowa actually a few days ago, a lot of them are feeling like, does my voice even matter? And I'd like for you to tell our viewers why it is important for them to join, organizations like Americans for Prosperity, to call their members, to sign those petitions, to show up. How often do you take a look at the calls that you get, the emails that you get? And if you're thinking, well, my boss is already doing the right thing, he's voting the right way, it's still important that you thank them, right? And that you let them know that they're doing the right thing. So give us a sense in your office how much the voice of your constituents matters and why they should be more engaged in this process and not feel like their voice doesn't matter.
It's incredibly important to communicate with your elected officials. We listen to the people in my district. Their feedback matters to us. And for those that aren't in my district, I'll just tell you, having interacted with politicians for a while now, a lot of politicians are wimps and respond very, very well to pressure. I remember being in the State House, and someone would call, somebody would come on the floor. You hear it here too, and they'd say, "Oh boy, they're killing me back home over a specific issue." And I'd say, "Oh, really? What does that mean?" Like, "Oh, just the phone's ringing off the hook." I'd say, "How many calls did you get?" And they'd say, 4. And I said, "Oh, wow." And so the point being is that people need to hear from you, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference on the state level. Elizabeth will tell you, I've experienced it, and it makes a difference on the federal level. Politicians respond to pressure, and so put the pressure on. Tell them what you want, what you expect from them. It's really important, and no one does a better job than AFP at connecting individuals with their elected officials in a transparent way.
Oh, thank you for saying that. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun here at AFP.
Yeah.
We like to say we cause trouble, but we are causing trouble for preserving the future of our nation.
Yeah, it's worth causing trouble for that.
It's worth causing trouble for that. As we kind of look to the rest of the year and the rest of session, tell us what you're most optimistic about.
Taking back the House. Retiring Nancy Pelosi once and for all. I think we're going to do it. My message to my colleagues and to leadership out here is that the Democrats are doing everything they can, seemingly, to lose this election. They have bad policy proposals. The impacts of the legislation that they have passed is coming to full fruition. Americans are feeling it. They're doing all that they can to lose. But that's not enough for us just to sit back and watch them go down this path. We have to propose real solutions to the problems that Americans are facing. And this is a big one. Congress, if you poll this, and for some reason someone has, if you poll, Congress polls lower than colonoscopies and root canals. And the reason for it is that politicians run on something, and then when they get elected, there's no connection between what they ran on and what they do once they're in office. And that's what we have to change to build back trust with the American people, because our country is being torn apart right now. People rightly don't trust politicians, and we've got to fix the problem. And the only way to do that is to do what we say we're going to do. And so much like the contract with America that I think was successful, we have to offer real solutions to the American people on healthcare issues, on the economy, real solutions on balancing the budget, on reining in these social media conglomerates. It's a really important issue. On the border, on and on and on. We have to offer real solutions for these problems. And then once we have power, we have to implement them. We have to pass them. And so that's what I'm working on out here to make sure that we are in a position to actually govern and again, bring this country back together, build some trust back with the American people.
I love that. It gives me hope for our future. How about you, Josselin?
Well said. And we're so thankful to have champions like you up here. So appreciate it. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts for our viewers, but so important to remain engaged and, to watch these really harmful policies, but also talk about solutions. And I think voters are ready. They're not only ready, they're demanding it. So we thank you for all the work that you're doing. And we look forward as an organization to come alongside you and make it happen.
Well, I'll say this to piggyback on what Elizabeth was just saying. People are busy. They're trying to earn a living for their family. Prices are going up. They have full lives just trying to make it right now across this country. It might seem to some people, what's the point in engaging in the political process? What's the point? Why does it matter? My voice isn't going to make a difference. And first of all, I want to tell people it does make a difference. Please engage. And if there was anything worth standing up and fighting for, it's the future of this country. So I just want to encourage people to do that.
Thank you. Well said. We so appreciate your time, Congressman.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.